The government is losing constantly. There's nobody else who's going to appeal. They're winning. It's up to you to decide whether to take this case to us. If I were in your shoes, there is no way I'd approach the Supreme Court with this case. So you just keep on losing in the lower courts, and what's supposed to happen to prevent that?
Just dragging it out, I suppose, Justice Kagan. I guess lose. It didn't really hurt them when they were pushing the big lie. I don't know how much they care about it here, but they do care about the topic at least. This is technically about birthright citizenship. It's about Donald Trump's executive order to eliminate yet another right to believe that he can, with a regular pen or an auto pen, contradict the Constitution. This is one of many ways that they're doing that, but it's significant for millions of Americans whose citizenship does rely on this right written into the Constitution for, I'm gonna say many years. I think it's been around for quite a while, actually. And so this is not about the hearing that we just saw is not about the merits of the executive order. It has to do with these broad injunctions. So when someone challenges the constitutionality or the legality of an executive order, as they did in this case, can the judges stop it from going into effect everywhere or only in regard to the person who's challenging it? Now, Trump, not surprisingly, doesn't want these broad injunctions, which he's faced not only with the birthright citizenship, but across a number of different issues. Now, notably, neither he nor any right winger had any problem with these nationwide injunctions under President Biden. Not that I recall. Do you remember them being like, well, I do want to challenge, like student loan debt being canceled, but let's not go too far with it. We just pause it for these students. Everybody else can get there. No, of course not. They've had no problem with this. This is utterly ridiculous. But anyway, that's technically what's being debated right now. And so we'll move on to a little bit more of what Justice Kagan had to say. She pressed the administration on the practicality of limiting nationwide injunctions, saying, does every single person that is affected by this executive order, have to bring their own suit? Are there alternatives? How long does it take? Because obviously that's ridiculous. And by the way, if you're gonna have a nationwide injunction that affects everyone, wouldn't you want it in a case where something super important and core, like whether you're a citizen or not? Isn't that exactly the place where you'd want to tread very carefully when you were removing a right that's existed for centuries at this point? And by the way, Trump has been pretty clear recently, I think you'll all agree, that he doesn't like our judicial system being bogged down by millions of cases. It's too inefficient, we can't have it. Well, then let's stop it with a nationwide injunction, because otherwise you could potentially have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of challenges to this. Anyway, you'll be shocked to find out that not every justice agreed with Kagan there. Justice Clarence Thomas, unsurprisingly, came out against nationwide injunctions, suggesting they represent a relatively recent and unnecessary development in American law, saying the country survived until the 1960s without universal injunctions. Again, I would love to know where in any of the things he wrote, knocking down what Biden did over the last 4 years, he said, but let's limit this. He didn't. He had no problem with the nationwide injunctions when it was potentially benefiting regular people. But no, it doesn't matter because our country survived until the 1960s without this. I looked into it. You know, our nation also survived until the 1960s with migration and birthright citizenship. So why are y'all freaking out now? We made it a long time until then. And also, look, I understand that I'm ladling the sarcasm on pretty thick here. There is no constitutional question here. There is no philosophical, legal, nothing with substance in question here. The Constitution is dead clear that if you're born on our soil, you are a citizen. You may not like that. You may whine about it. It may send you into such throes of anger and unfairness, Stephen Miller, that you pee down the leg of your khakis or whatever. But that's just what the Constitution says. You can whine about it, but you can't change it unless the Supreme Court decides that, as they have so often done, what the Constitution says, what the Supreme Court has decided in the past just doesn't count anymore. Because now the Republicans have won, and maybe by enough that it won't be overturned in the future. And so we can just do whatever we want. If we're not gonna be a nation of laws, if we're not gonna be a nation of rights, constitutions, civil liberties, then I guess they can do literally whatever they want. And I don't want to go super in depth. I'm going to bring up just briefly graphic 5. This is what Trump posted about this, saying, big case today, birthright citizenship was not meant for people taking vacations to become permanent citizens, all the time laughing at the suckers that we are. It was meant for the babies of slaves. And that is interesting. Look at Donald Trump doing his homework, or more likely just being told to post that. What he seems to be saying is, it is not enough to simply read the clear text of the Constitution. One must read the documents, the scrolls, like Gandalf looking into the origins of that strange ring that Bilbo found. You need to dig into old dusty parchment to understand the context, okay? Because context matters. And they could have never imagined that someday people would be doing vacations so that their kids could be citizens, which is interesting. And I have a feeling you already know where I'm going with this. They've never talked about any of the other rights in this way. If they couldn't have imagined people doing vacations to give birth, I have a feeling they never could have imagined AR-15s, and yet very rarely have I heard right-wingers say that the Second Amendment needs to be interpreted with a mind to context. And you need to delve into what they were thinking at the time and what they might think. Were they still alive hundreds of years later? This is all BS. It's interesting. Sure, write a book about it, Trump, or have someone ghostwrite a book about it for you, or pass an amendment if you have such a problem with what the Constitution says. But it's very clear right now, these people are citizens and they must remain citizens, no matter how much it bothers you deep within your racist little hearts.